Hello and welcome to the show. We are back at the Endurodrome with 3 more vehicles being driven till destruction, starting with the only, I guess, base game car that hasn't actually gone around here. No spec of the K-Series has run the course yet, so this could be interesting. It could also not be very long-lived, I will be honest. ETKs, I should say, are not exactly renowned for having strong wheel axles. While, yes, the S-Series did an incredible job, it was a mod, although based on the ETK kind of framework, if you like, that did amazingly around here. That refused. It was the most stubborn car I think I've ever driven around here. That is more of an outlier. That is an unusual result for an ETK. Certainly for a car like that, it just refused to die around this course. I'm hoping for a similarly spectacular show from the K-Series, but I don't know. The wheel axles, of course, are of massive, massive concern. I mean, this is a fast car. This is a fast car indeed. I've got an all-wheel drive spec of the vehicle. So on the dirt, you know, it's not on full sort of slicks, so all-wheel drive. Decent or good enough tyres means we're going to have the grip to put a lot of the power down. It's going to be fast. It's going to be hitting bumps and hitting jumps with a relatively large amount of speed, and it's not got rally car suspension. It may well have rally car acceleration around here, but it's not got the suspension to deal with the bumps, with the landings. It's the landings that are the problem, and potentially at these rocks or something. For example, in fact, the rear right's in trouble immediately. Now, the good news is it's bent rather than snapped off. That does help us. That's a sickening landing, although it didn't make as much of a crunch as I was expecting. It was a heavy landing, but not the worst crunch, not the worst destruction we have seen. I think we got away with that quite well. Oh, this is going to bounce, isn't it? Yep, you're going to bounce around. Okay, actually we're doing 60 miles an hour down there. I mean, the sunburst around the very first episode had massive trouble just traversing down there at that sort of speed, so that's not too bad for the K-Series. I've got to be a bit careful lining up here. I need speed, of course. I need to be over about 63, 64 miles an hour to clear it onto this platform part. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, we might get away with that. Just. Yeah, we need the right amount of speed to clear the jump. Oh. Oh, that's weird. You're all-wheel drive. Why are you having trouble getting going there? I think we bent the chassis or the axle at the back. Something at the back is very unhappy. Something everywhere is going to be... Ooh, my steering's very broken as well. That car is... Yeah, the rear... rear of the vehicle in a bad way. Steering... well, I say steering. Actual steering, front wheels, fine. Rear wheels, all sorts of angles mean the car is pulling about something chronic. We're going to go and... try and slow down before we, plough our way into there. That's dangerous. We have still got more than enough steering, of course, to get through here. It's a little bit sketchy, but we are through there. All okay. I'm going to not have the control to hit those particularly hard because the car moves around. It's the moving around just before takeoff. That's the scary thing on these. We haven't actually seen a car die on those jumps. Interesting fact about this course, that's probably curse of the commentator, but interesting fact about this course, we've seen cars break down on those sections because of previous damage. Maybe the big 6-wheeled Firehawk. I can't remember how that went out now. We had the Fiat Uno ran out of petrol on those jumps, but I don't think anything's gone out from landing of those jumps, interestingly, despite the fact it's actually quite a nasty landing you go there, because you're just sort of smacking down onto concrete, which is not exactly renowned as a forgiving landing surface, which put foot down, slide our way through there. I'm definitely not going to carry 70 miles an hour up here. That's a recipe for a tremendous accident, because even slowing down has been a recipe for a bad accident. You're going to roll over. Okay, we're good. Roll like that, actually not the worst thing imaginable. I think we're going to be stuck in there, aren't we? We're stuck in the mud. Maybe this is a rear-wheel drive spec that I've accidentally picked. I could have sworn it said front-wheel drive, but I guess I might... front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. Guess I might be wrong, though. We are out of there. Who knows? I guess we'll find out if we lose a rear drive axle. Oh, that's a nasty, nasty roll. I would prat around, but if I sit about trying to find out what drive it is while it's upside down, I'll damage the engine more, which would be unfair to the vehicle's run, so we shall not. We're going to be okay across there. I have now got a lot of steering issues. I fear we're going to end up losing control of the car while still trying to... Again, oh, well, that's a way to land. Because we've still got a good amount of speed in the vehicle. There's still a good amount of performance and acceleration in the car, despite the fact it looks like this. Can't imagine there's much suspension travel. Well, judging by the fact that the top of the shock towers are basically sticking out the bonnet, that's not good news. Amazed. Oh, I was going to say I'm amazed that the wheels are still all attached. Front left isn't. Front left, we've got no steer on the front left now. We've got one wheel steer. The worst part is that the front left wheel comes off. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. It's much worse when it's doing what it's currently doing, which is dangling. It's just kind of sat there and is pushing the car about. It's pushing the car to the right at this current moment in time, but it might suddenly change and decide the car wants to go left. Oh, I'm having real troubles here. K-Series, please go. Oh, drive shaft. We've lost a drive shaft in the car. Have we lost all drive? Oh, this is bad news. This is bad news. So, it was an all-wheel drive version. It just wasn't very good at getting out of the mud. My twisted chassis and drive at the back, now we've lost front-wheel drive. Oh, there are problems. Now, we need to be able to... We need to get it back on the road here. Come on, K-Series. Come on, K-Series. I think the steering's gone. I think the combination of steer... Oh, there's... Pull yourself around. Good car. We do need to be able to clear 20 miles an hour, otherwise it will be counted out, which it does now. Cars have to be able to take 20 miles an hour. Oh, well, there goes the engine anyway. It didn't matter. I was about to say, cars have to be able to go 20 miles an hour, otherwise they get counted out. They can't simply crawl their way around the circuit. However, it doesn't matter. The damage was so great at the front of the car that as soon as we hit the speed bump, that was it. Because normally what we do is we lose the first of those speed bumps to launch the car over the second two. With a bit of speed, you can do that. But we didn't, and we just sort of scraped the engine. Clattered something important in the front. I mean, a lot of important bits in the front were gone. It did better than I expected, actually. I have to say, the ETKs have done pretty respectably around this circuit. They're notorious for not being great at this sort of stuff, but they have done a lot better than I ever expected. The next vehicle to tackle this destructive course is the Condensa. This is an electric version of the Covet. Now, that means we can't have overheating. Well, I guess technically electric cars could in the world of Beam, and that's not going to be a problem. What might be a problem is, I guess, weight. I don't quite know how they all work. I don't know whether this has got increased, massively increased mass. But theoretically, electric cars should be heavier. Might be a problem. Also, I mean, the Covet wasn't exactly the strongest car when run around here. The small hatchbacks have not fared well on this course in particular. The small hatchbacks have fared... that's not great. That's not great. It bounces quite a lot on the landing, and a bit of a slide into a curb. That's a lot of damage for early on in the course. And I've got very little control now of a very quick car. Again, this is another all-wheel drive, bloody fast vehicle. This is a... Oh, that's not helping. Things are bad. Things are quite bad with the Condensa. Now, that all being said, of course, it could now go on to live for a very long time. Hell, the Blackfoot lost a wheel and kept going for an incredible number of laps, despite losing a wheel on the first lap. This, in many ways, is actually worse than losing a wheel. As I said with the K-Series, I would prefer that wheel fell off, to be honest. Car will have more than enough to keep driving. Yeah, it will probably become front-wheel drive. However, I would rather we lost the wheel, because as it is, the wheel is now working against us. The wheel is actively messing up with our steering and messing up which way the power goes, because I think it's still being driven. Ooh, that's, again, quite painful through there, but... Oh, that's a rock. I've got to try and frantically steer out of the way from that. Oh, no, the rock that killed the V6R4 did not claim another victim. We rolled over it. That's fine. Oh dear. Not only is the wheel at a very unhappy angle, it's also quite significantly broken. Quite significantly broken. We're going to do a front flip? No, we're just going to bounce. More bouncing. That's okay. Oh, definitely more bouncing down here. Yep. Oh, that's a big jump. That's not what we wanted. Although, again, rolls are not so terrible. Rolls are not so terrible. they dissipate energy. If the car's rolling, the energy is going into, well, you know, the car tumbling, rather than going into the car itself in the form of damage. I mean, it'll damage the roof, sure. It might bend a wheel a little bit, but it's better than hitting something solid. I've got so little control in this car now. Can we actually get you out of the trees? That is the important question, because if it's stuck in there for good, that would actually technically be out, because I can't pull the car out. We are going to get it free. Yeah, if the car actually gets fully wedged, I can't reset it with the damage still being there. So, oh god, yeah, that back wheel is at a really bad angle. Problem is, we just keep making it worse. We keep landing on that side. Oh, Condensa, you must let. I mean, the front isn't good either. I've got to point out the front. Oh, that's the very unhappy wheel. It is the unhappiest, bounciest, wibbliest of wheels I ever did see. And that includes the actually the whole rear axle's not happy either. No, there's not much happy on this car at this moment in time. I was expecting the electric Covet to be actually quite good when you remove the fear of overheating. I was hoping the electric Covet might be quite good, but I think potentially the weight of all the electric gubbins is a little too much for the Covet suspension to stand when tasked with this sort of circuit. That's, yeah, not good for the Covet. But it's still actually got a pretty good amount of movement going on, although it just randomly spins now. Everything is fine, everything is fine, everything is all of a sudden very not fine and very out of control. The question is, though, actually, what is going to kill it? Because, well, I don't know if I can knock the entire engine out. I guess losing a wheel. If we lose that rear wheel, or steering, of course will kill it. If we lose that rear wheel, we might have trouble putting power down. Although I honestly think losing that rear wheel would be better for us in the long run. Potentially trouble with these. Oh, that's really battering. I mean, this is lower than the stanced cars now. I think we've basically removed every little bit of suspension. We've got immense positive camber and immense negative camber going on the rear. Oh, front right. Oh, we've got big problems there. What? How? The front. Oh, the front right wheel is. Not in a happy way. We might lose some wheel. Every wheel is not pointing in the way it's supposed to be pointing. I mean, it's still going. It's still drivable. Okay, we can't hit a curb. The car is so low to the ground now. I think the chassis might actually have real troubles getting over. Nope, gotta go around again. The damage to the front right is now making the steering worse because it's still mostly working. I thought it was a lot less steering on that front wheel now, but it's mostly working. Still well above the crawler rule in this. It's still plenty fast enough. Hell, I think I've had cars from standard that are slower than this, although we are going to beach it there. I say it's not a problem. I am allowed to pull bits of bodywork off. That's the frame. I'm allowed to pull cars out if they get stuck in the mud pit, of course. Some of the vehicles that run through here are not exactly rally cars, and the mud pit is hardly a fun area. In general, cars that get stuck in here are probably overheating or something silly, so that's kind of their punishment. This, we don't have an issue with. It just kind of wastes a little bit of time. There's a oh, that's very painful for the poor car. It's still going. It's going to ping back down onto its wheels. That's another mud pit that I'm not going to get out of with some assistance. So, yeah, basically, it's going to hit every single rock, bump, bit on the road, every single... Oh, that's not good, is it? Now, is that just where I've dragged it? If I've dragged it onto somewhere, unfortunate, then I am allowed to move it and drag it free in case there's some sort of weird hitbox on it. No, I think that's actually... No, that's the chassis there. The chassis is bent so far down, the wheels just can't touch the road. That is a new one. That is what the rocks did. I knew. I've said for so long in this series that the rockery was going to cause, tear drive shafts out. I mean, this is a whole new level of mean. With the suspension gone, the car was literally riding on the floor, and hitting the rock has bent the chassis in such a way that the car... It's not going to move. It is not, and I think even if the diffs let it, I think it would just spin on the spot, because that wheel there kind of moves, but yeah, no suspension, completely buckled chassis. The condenser is out. The final vehicle to run this course today is a very interesting prospect. This is the DH Outlaw. It's a monster, designed for off-road racing. In fact, I've got the all-wheel drive rally spec one here. Now, theoretically, this is about the ideal sort of vehicle. Decent ground clearance, massive suspension travel. Admittedly, it is very, very fast, lots of power, all-wheel drive, etc. But it's designed to deal with rough terrain. Here's the thing. It's got very, very exposed wheels. They are a big concern here. This is the sort of vehicle that will run until it has one accident, generally speaking. I might be wrong, of course. This is unlikely to fall apart the way the Condensa did, or the way a lot of cars have done around here. This will likely go until a wheel falls off, and then we'll be in trouble. And then it probably won't be too long until the whole vehicle falls apart. But it's whether we can go... I mean, we're trying to beat the Miramar. That is still our furthest distance ever around this course. The Dove got close, but in the end, the course was just a little bit too much. The Dove got very close, in fact, to getting near to that Miramar. The Outlaw... I mean, it's got a chance. Actually, quite understeery. A lot more understeery than I was expecting it to be. However, if we are sideways at any point into a rock, into a speed bump, that's what I fear for this car. That's what I fear. The open-wheeled vehicles are quite renowned for... Oh, there goes a bit of the nose. That's fine, don't need to worry about that too much. Oh no, like that. That's the sort of trouble we can get into with the Outlaw. We got away with it that time around. I mean, hell, we saw what happened with the Cobbett. The V6R4 was running very, very nicely, hit one landing of the jump, and it destroyed the entire front corner. It pushed all the suspension arm back to the point where it's completely and utterly undrivable. I guess we could see a similar thing with this, though of course that very much depends on how the suspension works on the car, how you land the jumps. This does not have as much grip out here as I thought it was going to. Very fast, very, very good across the bumps. Very good indeed across the bumps. And this is the sort of thing that will make this jump here without any problem whatsoever. In fact, we might have overshot a little bit. Ooh! Did not like the landing of that. That is not going to help us with the understeer whatsoever. Huh. I guess the landing was a little bit too... nasty for the Outlaw. That's unexpected, but there we go. We lost both front tyres. It's going to make us understeer a bit more, but won't really affect the vehicle's survivability unless it leads to mistakes. We should be good to take a decent amount of speed over here, because it can land quite a lot on its nose without too many problems. The engine, I don't actually know where the radiator is situated in this car, but the engine's to the side of the driver. So if the radiator's at the front of that little side pod, it might actually be quite hard to hit. So overheating is unlikely, or less likely with this vehicle. Bounce our way across there. So far, suspension is holding up well. Oh god, we've got a sudden kick of like we said. Suddenly the front end responded and the back very, very quickly wanted to go sideways. Had so much understeer through there now that the tyres have gone. Put our foot down across there. Wheels, so far, holding up. Aside from the tyres, the actual wheels themselves, everything is pointing in the right direction. We're going to try, well, say throw it in here with some speed. We shouldn't have really any troubles getting it into the mud pit. Indeed we don't. It is nicely done. Oh, understeer. Well, we're going to hit the... a bigger amount of rocks, doesn't matter. The car's got the suspension to deal with it. That's a big jump. Again, you do that in a normal car, that would be a lot of pain for it. But the Outlaw is okay, and it's managing to land these fairly nicely. It's not landing twisted. I'm not having to frantically try and grab the steering to sort the car out. Although that's a lot of speed down there. It's just 75 miles an hour. It's probably the fastest anything's ever gone down that section, because normally nothing stands a chance of... everything just gets bounced around. Even, you know, off-road vehicles normal off-road vehicles get bounced around there. This has got the suspension to do it. We're going to fly up there so nicely from the Outlaw. This is good. This is good. That's bad. No, we glided our way across. Oh. Did we glide our way across there? Is everything okay in the back of the car? I think so. I think it's just where the car was leaning going around a corner. It does look like we've got a little bit more camber on the right-hand side. That does look like we've got a little bit more camber going on there. Possibly it's not quite as straight as it once was. If actually I can see it. Is it not quite? Yeah, oh, maybe that's just a little texture. One of the you can look at the little metal bars that are sticking out. Oh no, it's on both sides, never mind, they're equal. Yeah, if you look at there's like... Well, there's a drive shaft going to the wheels. Oh, just got away with that. And the metal bar closer to the camera, if you like, is, I thought, had like shunted itself out a little bit on the right-hand side, but it is equal on both of them. It might just be the mod. It may well be that damage has done a little bit of work on those wheels. Potential for that to be the case, that both of them are a little bit out of shape. I don't think it's quite as happy as it was, but I mean, it's still considerably happier than just about everything else. This is probably the fastest we've ever gone around this circuit. Certainly onto this, onto this third lap here, fastest that many cars have been tackling, because it's understeery, but it's so capable everywhere else that it's not too bad. Big jump for the Outlaw. Just don't want to get the wheels caught on the floor. That's fine. We are through. Oh, we're going to go for a front flip. No! That was always a fear. We might see that. That was too much speed. Oh no! Oh no! I mean, I'm surprised the front wheels are not wanting to do anything. Can we? I don't even think if I hit into a low range, it's not going to help get the front wheels moving. It can't be a front wheel drive. Well, that disintegrated very, very quickly. I shouldn't have bloody said anything. It was always like to be a one crash and it's out. I'm not quite sure what happened to the front tyres, but a little bit too much speed into the hut and a twisted landing would see us tumble over. And unfortunately, in a car like this, when it tumbles, that's game, really. I said we did well on that back jump. That back jump was always a fear to roll a car, of course. I always like to potentially see the car go over. Down there, especially with tyres gone if it's being difficult to steer. Haven't seen too many rolls coming out of there, but then nothing's really had the same sort of speed as this. It went over, and that was it. The Outlaw is a goner. So, on to our leaderboard, and it is a pretty good showing from the Outlaw. Going to a 21st place. Yeah, it was a bit unlucky. Always was likely to go a similar way, though, a heavy crash. The wheels being quite exposed, susceptible to damage in case of a rollover, which around this sort of course was going to happen sooner rather than later. And ultimately, if the wheels can't stay on the car when it goes for a tumble around here, well, it's unlikely to challenge the top spots, quite frankly. We go a little bit further down to find our next vehicle. Actually, a very, very busy part of the table for the K Series. Goes into 38th place, but both the Pursue, the very yellow, the Burnside Estate, the I-Series, all of those cars died pretty much around that speed bump. In fact, the I-Series and the Start I-Series, I think, that rolls a little further than the normal I-Series, lost their drive shafts or had issues on that exact speed bump. They happened to be able to roll down the hill because it was wheel axle or drive shaft related rather than complete engine failure and everything locked up in the K-Series. That's why it couldn't roll any further. The Condensa, that didn't have a great time. It goes down into a 52nd place, although considering it spun and buckled the wheel on the first curb, which we have not had before, I guess 52nd could have been considerably worse for the car. Ultimately, the wheels, suspension and so on were not strong enough on that. I presume not strong enough to deal with the huge amount of weight when it comes to crashing around a destruction circuit such as this one, because that took a battering. Quite an impressive failure from that car. That, though, is going to be it for this episode. As ever, I shall link all the mods used in the description so you can download them and have a go with them yourself. But that'll be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.